All right, so a little late to the party, but this is another example of an Everbook, and it's something I put together with my wife. I leaned on her expertise as a fabric artist extraordinaire. So I'm not going to go into too much about what the Everbook is because we've seen so many examples of them, and we really don't need to go into details. To be honest with you, I'm not even using this as much as I should be, although I'm starting to. Right now I'm using it mostly for volunteer work. But anyway, the thing what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the fact that it's made out of canvas, which is something I hadn't seen anybody do yet. So let's talk about, I think, the construction of the Everbook case itself, and we can talk about some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks. So to begin with, as I said, I asked my wife for her consultation on this project, particularly the fact that I know what canvas is, but I don't know how to use it or work with it or anything like that. So I asked her to go and purchase some different kinds of canvas. And she ended up getting, I don't know, 4 or 5 different colors, including this, what is this called? This blonde, this white canvas. Is it called a color?
Natural.
Natural color. And the blue, what would this be called?
Navy,
yeah, navy blue. So anyway, she did most of the seam work here, and we talked about the fact that the canvas, when you originally get it, isn't terribly stiff. We thought it might need to be stiffened somehow. So she ended up cobbling together some material. What is this material normally for?
It's 7-count plastic needlepoint mesh.
Needlepoint mesh, used for some other purpose. And
yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's 2 panels. You can almost see the outlines of them right here. And the intent there was to stiffen this up so it acted more like a more solid flap. Like when you look at the leather examples, they're usually, I think, a heavier leather. At least the really nice ones are. The very expensive ones, which was one of the reasons why I went this route as well. Because not only was the canvas, I could waterproof it by waxing it, but it was going to be much cheaper. Plus, I get to do it myself in a project I get to do with my wife. So win-win all the way around. But anyway, so it's got those things sewn in there. So as you can imagine, there's 2 pieces of fabric sewn together. You can see the seams here. I think we originally had put those same panels in the sides here as well. And I think we removed them at some point. No, we didn't. Okay, so they never were there. It was just the 2 at the back.
No, I think they're all there.
They're there? No, there's no panel here. There's panels here.
Okay.
Oh wait, well maybe. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I can feel it, and I can see the seam here. All right, so there's 4 panels in here. I think in hindsight, one of the cons is these panels then sort of enforce the structure, and you don't get as much bend. When I actually had to reduce this, because at some point this thing was about twice as thick, and I had all sorts of cool things in here, and I had to take them out because the panels kind of interfered with the way it closed. And you can't just close it, a portion of the way to envelop a bigger, thicker Everbook. You're pretty much stuck at whatever this gap is here. This width is here.
That we could always take the seam out, take the piece out, trim it, and then sew it back in.
Yes, and that is still an option. We may still go there, but I think where we're at right now is fine. As I said, I'm not using it every day yet, so it's doing what it needs to do. The waxing itself was a fun project. I'll leave a link to the video I took the formula from, but there's a gentleman who put together a formula of paraffin that you'd use in canning. I'm sure there are other uses for the paraffin, but I'm most familiar with canning when I was a kid. And mineral oil, and you use a certain ratio, and I think it's 2 to 1 if I remember correctly. And you use an iron to you put the mixture together, you heat the paraffin to melt it, put the mineral oil in, you make sure it's very well mixed, and you let it cool, and then you bring it sort of in its semi-cooled state, and you use an iron to remelt it, and you're kind of pressing it into the fabric. Well, I think my wife had much better ideas for how this should be done, and of course I ignored her. And I did what I saw him do. And in the end, I ruined an iron. So, tip to anybody who might want to try this at home, at least the method that I saw in that video, make sure you're using an iron you don't mind sacrificing, not your wife's 30-year-old, beautiful, lovely iron that now stinks every time she uses it. Anyway, so that's the treatment that it has. And unfortunately, I think another side effect is, probably the way I've done it, is even months on now, this thing is at least 2 months old, maybe 3, seems to be leaking probably the mineral oil that didn't get mixed fully. So I've had to replace some of these papers because it looks like the mineral oil is leaching out of the, I assume it's mineral oil, some sort of oil. It's seeping into these cardboard covers that I've made.
And it looks like it's mostly coming out of the seams, which would hold the most anyway.
Right, yeah.
Now, the only thing I think you haven't mentioned is the cord. That's clothesline.
Oh, wait a minute. On the ends. I'm sorry. Yes.
On the edges. Yeah.
On the edges. Sorry. Yes. The edges. So this here is I don't know what that's called. It's better
if you look at it.
Yeah. No, I mean the edge. What is this called on a seam? Is there a term for it? I don't recall. Anyway, yeah, that's clothesline that's sewn in, and so this is just her expertise. She did all this work.
I just zigzagged it on with clear thread.
Yeah. So I think it adds sort of a nice touch, and it obviously reinforces the edges. So very confident in those. And this is a simple stitch here, and as she said, at some point maybe we'll take these
extra panels.
Yeah, those panels out. But okay, so I thought you were going to refer to this. So this is the current incarnation of the closure, and for now it's just a button with some this elastic cord, which I got for when I was building and playing with traveler's notebooks out of real leather. Got some of this elastic, so I decided to reuse it to provide the elasticity so that this can be pulled and stretched a little bit. So that's all it is. So it's just a button sewn in, some elastic sewn to the same clothesline, and the clothesline is your closure. So I think that's about it. Anything else? All right. So that's it. It's typical, as I said, there's nothing special here, just using the logbook. I've got sort of some particular projects done here. Got a rocket book in here, and a multicolor friction pen, and then a regular multicolor pen for the regular paper. Actually, this normally sits here. I've had to throw several of these pieces away because they get soaked with the oil, but I imagine that at some point that's gonna subside and I'll be okay with the papers. So that is it.